Why can't we live together? Tell me why, tell me why. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? No more wars, no more wars, no more wars. Just a little peace in this world. No more wars, no more wars. All we want is some peace in this world. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Yeah. So yeah, we had a little bit of a session. Mr. Sanders went to go get the drum. He got inspired by the music. We appreciate that. We appreciate everybody who just jumped on to the Hall Street Journal right quick and just share a little bit of your Friday with us. I know everybody getting ready for the weekend. I'm assuming some of y'all oh, this is a nice new one, man. That's a nice new drum he got there. That's a nice, man. I gotta let y'all see Mr. Sanders' new. What is that, Mr. Sanders? Some bongos. Man, they sitting pretty. Okay, you gotta get your mic on. He said it in the mic. We gonna get off into the show. We just having a good time. We just relaxing. Ain't no stress. All right. Gonna give him that Wakandan. That's that Wakandan save. That's that Wakandan save. He about to do it.
I want my drum to say hello.
Make him talk.
Okay.
Come on, Mr. Sanders about to get it in. What y'all know? Why? Why don't we all why can't we all live together, right? You gotta live with Mr. Sanders. He got a fedora, some bongos.
Took me a long time to find these babies.
Only on the Hall Street Journal.
These my babies.
That man got a herringbone jacket, a fedora, and some bongos. You know what I'm saying? That's traditional. Traditional.
Tell me why.
That's a good sound right there.
Live together. Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Yeah, y'all want some bongo lessons?
Just a little peace. All we want is some peace in this world.
Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? See, you live with Mr. Sanders, you're gonna have to listen to him beating on them bongos. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Okay, so we got the van cranking. All right. So it's time to have we gotta have a little serious conversation. All right. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Appreciate the phenomenal presentation on the bongos. Yeah, I want bongo lessons. Y'all gonna get them from Mr. Sanders. They're a little expensive, I'm gonna tell you now, but if you want them lessons, you're gonna have to pay.
There's a message.
Oh, Lord.
Go all the way
have
back
mercy.
into Africa. You know,
What's the message? What's the message, Mr. Sanders?
the message is love, respect, peace. That come from your ancestry, you know, and then the greatness. You brothers and sisters, y'all don't even understand your greatness. You don't have to do anything. It comes to you naturally. You know, the white man didn't give you that. You know, stop calling the white man cracker.
Hold on, whoa.
He's not a cracker.
Oh,
He's
my
just a
Lord. Foul on the play.
He's a slave master. But guess what? He don't even understand. He don't even
Mr.
understand the seriousness of his problem.
Wait a minute.
I'm not talking against
But all white
you,
people,
white.
you can't say stuff like
But
that,
I
man.
love you anyway. You hate us. I'm an Indian. My complexion is dark.
Oh,
You see
man.
it? But guess what? Indians are not just red. I want you to understand that. White, crap.
You can't call white people
Show
that.
us love.
I mean-
Let me show you love.
I went out. So,
Stop with all your craziness. This is America. You said.
the
You
representation
said.
expressed by Mr. Sanders are not
You
necessarily
said
the
America
representations
is the home of the brave
Hall Street
and
Journal,
land of the free.
its
But
executives,
America is
owners.
not as great as it should be. Now, don't get mad with me because I'm speaking the truth. Your racist ass.
Oh, Mr. Sanders.
Excuse me.
I don't know. He might have gotten into the vodka this morning.
me.
What's going on, Mr. Sanders? I mean,
We gotta show each other love.
we've been talking about a lot of racism. I think in this country is at a place where it's at a it's peaked. There's a tension in the air that I hadn't really I don't know if I've really seen before, even in my lifetime. And I don't know if I can say that. I mean, obviously we've had massive racial tension. This is a different type of tension. So I won't say it's higher than ever. It's the type of racism that we're dealing with today. There's just a lot of tension between black people and white people, just everyday people on the street. And I watched the video of this brother they shot in his backyard 20 times. They shot this guy in the backyard, and there was a call that somebody was breaking in the car windows or something. And I don't know that I don't know if this was the guy, but the police got called to the area, and they ended up chasing this guy in an alley. And he was in his neighborhood and staying with his grandmother. He ran into the backyard of his grandmother, and in the dark, with the helicopter lights, they had the ghetto bird out there and the helicopter lights and all that stuff. And when I watched the video in real time, and first they said the guy had a gun, then they said the guy had a crowbar, and then come to find out all he had on him was a cell phone, a white cell phone. And when it was going down, one of the officers yelled "gun," that he thought he saw a gun there in the dark, and they proceeded to shoot him 20 times, unarmed, and kill him literally in his own backyard with unarmed. And to me, every time I see one of these situations, it's certainly, and they had the body camera, so you can see the whole thing go down. And they didn't, it was still dark. They didn't give him any type of attempts to resuscitate him for over 5 minutes. They weren't sure if he has a weapon. Mind you, the guy never had any weapon whatsoever. and yeah, so this is where we're at now. You can literally get shot 20 times in your own backyard with no weapon, and the guys are on paid administrative leave and they're quote unquote investigating. But at the end of the day, we got another brother down, another murder at the hands of the state, and another basis for increasing the tension between a black man and any officer whatsoever in any encounter, because the more you see this, the more difficult it becomes to trust any of these type of interactions, to be calm in these type of interactions. When you look at Alton Sterling and some of the ways that we've seen lives being taken. I watched a video of the guy who was literally in a wheelchair, unarmed, and 3 officers shot him to death in broad daylight in the middle of the street in a wheelchair. Like, how do you pull out your weapon and discharge it into a human being who's obviously struggling to cope with a situation, who poses no real threat to 3 white officers, and they just unload on a man in a wheelchair. And I'm like, how do you justify that? How do you go to sleep at night? And we keep seeing this amalgamation of events piling up, and it's just something on a large scale. I'm concerned may happen as a result of this. What do you think, Mr. Sanders?
You racist crackers.
Oh, so you see,
White folks, white supremacists, skinheads, whatever you are, you don't deserve to wear the badge of an office. You're supposed to be a public servant. You were not trained to go around killing black people. You don't kill your people. Stop killing our people. We're going to tell you one more time.
And that's the sentiment. That's where it's getting to. And here you hear emotion from a man who is an officer who spent 40 years as an officer and a soldier, a Vietnam veteran, and a retired Treasury officer, who is dealing with the juxtaposition between being a proud officer and realizing that these men are doing things that are nothing to be proud of, in the name of the law, in the name of justice. They are perpetrating great injustice, and we as a nation seem there's an element that wants to look the other way, that wants to justify what's going on, get past it. But at some point you gotta get past it. And I've been waiting for more and more officers to step up and say, "Wait a minute, this is not who we are. This is not what we're trained to do." Oddly enough, some people suggest that lots of the training that happens in some of these police forces does orient them to do these type of things. If they're black, shoot them. I watched that video too, where it literally told them, officer is in training, and you heard this type of stuff. So the country is in turmoil, and embroiled in some things that I can't even. The stuff that's happening in the White House, it's a soap opera that is beyond anything I ever seen on Days of Our Lives. Any soap opera I've ever seen. By the way, if you want to call in, I see my man Scott Dickens is check this out. You can call in. We're on VoxWave.com, but the hotline here is 240-719-2560. Again, 240-719-2560. You can call into the show and comment on what you see with these, yet another killing of unarmed black man and also kind of what we see for what's happening in the nation. What's happening in the nation with the White House and with the Attorney General Sessions just came out with a new rule. I want to talk about that, but Mr. Sanders, what are you thinking?
Just briefly, before I went into the military, I experienced racism in its rawest state. I worked in a restaurant where I was not allowed to leave and come back and eat at a table that I waited on. In the state of Florida, I had to go around to the side window to get my food. There were restaurants I could not go into because of racism. I'm an Indian. I'm not a nigger. You crackers, stop calling me nigger. I'm an Indian. And stop calling my people nigger because we're not niggers. You the nigger.
Yeah.
Now,
they created it.
I experienced racism before I went in the military and even after I got in the military, but yet we can go into the war zone and fight and sleep in the same bunker and die together, but when we come back to America, we're separated again. You call us second-class citizens, but you treat the foreigners with more respect than you treat us. This is our homeland. We were born and raised here. Now, I didn't know I was going to say this, but we need to come together as a people instead of having all this division, racism, discrimination, and show more respect and consideration and love for one another. Peace.
Y'all getting the message. Y'all getting the word. Y'all getting some real talk this morning. I know this show is wild, right? We go from wild now having a good time, but we also are letting you know some real stuff. I understand where the passion comes from because it is. I was watching a video of a guy who was talking about he said you think the white man is above nigga shit, but the white man invented the nigga, and it was angry, and I understand the anger. There was frustration. I understand the frustration. I'm not of the persuasion, of course, that all white people are bad.
No, they're not.
No, that's certainly not the case. But I am of the persuasion that racism is a scourge that has victimized people who are not white at the hands of people who are white, and we're getting to a place where it's been illuminated on how deeply entrenched it is in our society. And it's gonna have to be addressed more and more directly, and the failure to do that, the failure to address it, I think is leading to other movements. This Black Panther movie and the whole Wakanda Forever movement, and really what I see is something of a Pan-Africanist revival that we're having, where suddenly we are all being living under the umbrella of our Africanness. We're all coming under, we are sons and daughters of Africa, and this fictional Wakanda is trying to emerge in real life, where we're really trying to realize a new type of unity based on being sons and daughters of Africa in a way that maybe perhaps we've never seen historically ever. I feel more connected to people of African descent today than I ever have, and all the divisions from who's West Indian and who's from the continent of Africa and who's from this part of America or that part. It doesn't matter. We all are sons and daughters of Africa, facing the common difficulties that result in our children being shot in the backyard 20 times unarmed. And I think you're going to see more and more of us stepping up to engage that unity and whatever that brings.
I've often thought of those individuals who are in the decision-making positions who are not doing what they should be doing to help curb these problems in society, and they're getting paid big money to sit on their duffs and support their constituencies and not do what they need to be doing to help solve these problems in society. This is our community, and you live in this community too, and you're negligent. I'm not ashamed to say that you're negligent and you're not doing as much as you should be doing to help protect our children. People are killing our children. They're killing our old people. They're killing our young people. But you say, and many others say, that this is America, the home of the brave and the land of the free. But America is not as great as it should be. It can be greater.
Absolutely.
We're not going to make America great again, because there's nothing wrong with the fact that America is already great. Mr. Donald Trump, whoever you are, America is already great. This is one of the greatest countries in the world. But because of your racism and your discrimination and the fact that you're not concerned about the well-being, safety of our children and of the common man, you don't care because of your pockets being stuffed with a lot of money. You locked into money, material things, and your position.
Well, one of the things, even for me, when you look at a situation like, Dylan Roof or any of these white kids who, shoot up a church, just walk in, kill everybody in the church with a real gun, shoot real bullets, and, kill a bunch of folks. And then, you get the other white kid down in Lakeland, Florida. He can go in and kill 17 people, and they're taken alive. They're taking to Burger King. And then you got a brother with no weapon at all who didn't kill anybody, and he gets shot to death in his backyard. How do you reconcile those two circumstances and situations? How do you reconcile that, a person who takes no life has his life taken, and a person who takes many lives, and that's what he did, walks off healthy, happy, eating Burger King. They literally put the guy who just killed everybody in a bulletproof vest and give him something to eat. I mean, what does that? How are we supposed to process that? How are we supposed to reconcile that? And another thing that just popped up on the radar is that Attorney General Sessions, who is the devil incarnate, if you ask me, he's always been the devil. He was the devil when he was in Congress, and he was in charge of the committee, the Justice Committee. He really just has it in for the black community, unquestionably, but he just upended Obama-era rule that was put in place to protect against misconduct by officers. He now has it set up where your property and your cash can be confiscated even if you have not been charged with a crime. If you are suspected of a crime, they can again take your property. So if you get pulled over with $10,000 to $20,000, $100,000 in cash and anything like that, and they suspect, they haven't convened a grand jury, they haven't gotten any charges, but if they suspect that you may be involved with anything, the police now have the authority to confiscate your property, to confiscate your cash, and in many ways to confiscate your ability to fight the battle, because when you get in legal trouble, you got to finance your defense. So these type of moves that they're making right in front of us, policy decisions to literally now just take our stuff because they've decided, I suspect you of doing something. These are the type of things where you're like, you coming for my life, you coming for my property, and here we live in a country that supposedly affords us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How can I have a right to my life when you're taking my life? Where's my freedom when you're mass incarcerating an entire group of people in a biased way? And how can I pursue my happiness when my very property is not secure, despite not even being accused of a crime? You come take my stuff. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say there's something broiling right now in this country that's going to boil over in a minute.
I was sworn in 3 times to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You cannot unswear me. I learned something when I picked up the book, Constitution, No Rights. What Mr. Hall just mentioned, one of the greatest things in the Constitution is your inalienable rights that was not given to you by man. It was given to you by God. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And also, we talk about those who really understand due process. You have the right to due process. And then jurisprudence. You should never have sent me to school if you didn't want me to learn. Jurisprudence is the science of the system of laws. And when you go before a judge, after you have gotten yourself in trouble, and the judge said, ignorance of the law. But the laws are being changed every day. And we don't even understand what laws are being changed. So we are in jeopardy. Even when you go into the government, the federal government, and in your probationary period, they can fire you for anything and they don't have to give you any explanation. And when I trained police officers for over 20 years, I would tell them, give management no ammunition to use against you. Other people don't care. When they see you in hot water, they want to work to help to keep you in hot water and then make conditions worse for you. That's not good. That's not good at all.
It's definitely not good. It's definitely not good. So I mean, this is why it's so important to get involved in the political process. People not being involved is part of why we have Donald Trump as the president and the fiasco that's happening in the White House. He just lost yet another national security advisor left. McMaster is gone, and now Bolton is in as the former UN ambassador, is now the White House national security advisor. This after the first security advisor left. Well, he's now pled guilty to federal charges. So, I mean, and then the attorney just quit. The president's attorney just quit over disagreements on strategy. So, we're in a situation where the executive branch of the government is embroiled in turmoil day in and day out. There's yet another Playboy playmate coming out that she had an affair with the president, and then there's this ongoing legal battles between the president and Stormy Daniels, or whatever her name is. I don't know. For those of you who don't know, I don't own a television, so I'm just catching this stuff by osmosis, kind of on the side here and there. Hey, Lily. So it's there's so much for us that we're watching happen in the government. Sometimes it's hard to know, I decided to tune out, but, at the same time, I advocate being dialed in well enough to, participate in the political process and understand that, we all have a part in what we're seeing happen. We, the people, is what this government is constructed of, and we are on some levels responsible for what we are seeing unfold.
We, the people, what Mr. Hall just mentioned, a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now, some people look at it being much higher, but we are the government, and we have the right, when the government is not working for the best interests of the people, to abolish that government. Now, it's written also in the Word long before we got here. It's written that we battle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. The federal government is a high place. I worked inside, and I saw a lot of things that was wrong, but I had to be careful. Otherwise, I would have put myself in jeopardy. I had a wife and 2 children. I couldn't afford to put myself in jeopardy and lose my money to pay my mortgage, to put food on the table for my children. And another thing, too, you racist white folks, we become a threat to you, and you know it when we are educated. And when we're not trying to be equal to you. That's not what we're trying to do. But when I drive a nice car, live in a nice house, and I got plenty of cash in my pocket, I can buy you.
You terrible, Mr. Sanders. No, I have to advocate for. I love to see when we operate with our education. Yeah, because for those of you who don't know, I've been watching this. The educated parliament of South Africa, by their publicly elected officials, in accordance with the constitution of their nation, which, like most democracies in the world today, greatly mirrors our constitution. Everyone's modeled themselves after the American Constitution. It is the longest standing constitution on the planet. But funny enough, to watch these educated brothers in Africa in the parliament have now passed the bill. They have now passed the bill. This is not proposed. I don't know if y'all watching this, but they have passed a bill to basically take back, reappropriate land from the white settlers who took it, reappropriation without compensation. But under federal law in South Africa, they are authorizing the repatriation is the word. The repatriation of land without compensation. They are literally under color of law and rule of law, taking back the land that was originally stolen from the indigenous people of South Africa, where you have folks, the Dutch and Portuguese and what have you, that came in, and other elements of Europe that came in and killed people and literally just took land. And they are now saying we are righting this historical wrong and we're bringing this land back to make it available for the people of South Africa so that they can farm it, so that they can increase their GDP, so that they can earn a living. And instead of having this kind of few people who are continue to benefit from their theft so long ago, they're basically saying, "Oh no, but they're doing it in a way that is disciplined. They're not allowing any land grabbing. They're not allowing any mutiny in the streets, any craziness. They're being methodical about it, and it is something to watch how they are calmly, deliberately moving forward with the repatriation of land that was stolen without compensation." That is, it is a stunning development that people, I don't know if everybody understands what's happening. It's got me saying Wakanda forever when I think about what they're doing in South Africa right now with great poise, with great dignity, and with great logic and rationale. They're saying, you did not compensate us when you took it. Why would we compensate you when we take it back? What do you think about that, Mr. Sanders?
Outstanding. Now, I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, stop thinking violence. Go to school, get yourself a good education. In the earlier years, when I was going to Ben Franklin University, and I was going to an architectural engineering school and going to Prince George's Community College, I didn't tell them racist white folks anything. And you put yourself in jeopardy when you allow them to understand what you're doing for getting your life in order to progress and elevate yourself out of poverty. They don't want to see you elevate yourself and use your skills to become successful. They don't want you to be successful. This is America. This is the American way. Racism, discrimination is a tool that the racist white folks use against us. They use codes to keep us out of housing, to keep us from getting benefits. But we, as a people, need to come together and share ideas, share valuable information, and be able to help one another rather than be selfish and self-centered and jealous because someone have a little bit more than you, envious until you become hateful. A brother told me this. He said that your family, your friends, they don't love you. They're envious of you until the envy turn into jealousy, and the jealousy turn into hatred. I didn't know that. My family hate me. So what does that leave for people who are not my family members? I don't really care because I'm moving on. I'm progressing. I'm going moving forward. You know, keep on hating me. I'm going to accomplish as much as I can accomplish with the help of Mr. Hall, Mr. Ron, and various other people. Y'all keep on hating me. You're going to see my name in lights, and then you're going to hate me more.
Well, like I said it earlier, you know, if somebody's not hating you, you need to step your game up because you're not doing something right. If you don't have a hater, then you're not operating on the level you are to operate on. I don't know anybody who has ever done anything of any consequence or any value to society or humanity that did not have many, many, many haters. That just comes with the territory. And if you're going to be a great man or a great woman, you're going to have to get extremely comfortable with the concept of people hating on you. And you got to have that hate as to drive you, and it's got to become wind beneath your wings, if you would. I had a guy who I felt was hating on me about my book, The Bartimaean Transformation, right? The book is starting to sell, and people are starting to talk about it and talk about what's going on. And I had a guy who ain't talked to me in a whole year. He came to me on the side and Facebook and said, "Are you trying to, profiteer off God's word? And are you really sincere with what you doing? Or, oh, you in ministry now, and it's not about your pockets." And because I guess he figured I was making a whole bunch of money off a $20 book, right? And it wasn't even, he wasn't really a bad brother. He ain't a bad brother. He's a good brother, but he just came at me in the name of, I'm going to, take you to school, pull you up because I think that you just got another hustle and there's other people who think that. So he was basically saying, I'm a hater and I know other people are hating. And I guess the question is, well, what am I supposed to do next? Am I supposed to quit because y'all hating? No, your hate makes me great. Your hate drives me forward. And I had one of my best presentations because I was fired up about somebody questioning my intentions and my sincerity. This is what it is. This is something that I had to also, though, relax and be like, this is part of becoming great. You have to be able to handle the hate that comes your way. And that's as individuals, but also as a people. Great people are going to have haters too. So, it just comes with the territory.
I learned in the early part of my life that if you come at me with your negatives and your foolishness, all it's going to do is motivate me to progress even more. It motivates me. So if you knew that, then you wouldn't come at me with your negative garbage and your foolishness.
Yeah. So we're gonna get better. We wrapping everything up. I just want to say, you heard some passionate words in the show today. I have a lot of friends, as does Mr. Sanders, who are white. People that I'm very close with, people I've known for a very long time, people that I consider friends, people that I love, and people that I trust. And I hope that nothing that was offensive, because I know Mr. Sanders was talking about the racist white people who are doing things like killing our children, like killing Tamir Rice, and then Zimmerman, who just sold the gun that he used to shoot Trayvon. He just sold that gun for $250,000. This is the type of stuff that gets you angry. I said somebody need to offer $250,000 for that man's head in a box. Then he around here selling the gun that he killed somebody's child with, unarmed child with some Skittles and some tea, whatever. So these are the type of things that we have this passion, and we can't just sit back and just let people keep killing our kids, keep killing our husbands and brothers and sons and daughters, keep killing us indiscriminately without there being some type of response, some type of reaction, even some potential retribution. That's going to happen as well. So we are out of time. We appreciate everybody for being here. Haters will motivate you. Thank you, Francine Pollard, Lily, Marcus Reed, everybody who jumped in on the show at different points. And we just want to thank you. We're here to educate, edify, enlighten, and entertain. We are the Hall Street Journal. Real Talk is in the building. And, yeah, absolutely, they should. Respect our life to our faith. Learn to play the bongos. Wakanda forever.